Welcome. Before we begin, we ask that you please turn off your cell phones and electronic devices. Please remain seated while the class of 2024 enters the auditorium. Good afternoon. My name is Jeffrey Putman, and I am the Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our 25th annual White Coat Ceremony, just slightly rescheduled. Just slightly rescheduled from the fall of 2020. Our ceremony today is proudly sponsored by the College of Medicine, and we want to especially thank the Alumni Association of the College of Medicine for their generous donation in support of this important event by purchasing the first white coats for the class of 2024, which were given to them when they entered the College of Medicine in August of 2020. We would also like to thank the Arnold P. Foundation for providing the Humanism and Medicine pin for each of the members of the class. The White Coat Ceremony is a relatively recent tradition. Dr. Arnold P. Gold, a neurologist on the faculty of Columbia University's College of Physicians and Surgeons, started the White Coat Ceremony tradition in 1994. Dr. Gold thought that an appropriate oath, which represents the humanism of medicine, should be taken on the first day of medical school, as well as the last. The White Coat Ceremony serves to welcome students to healthcare practice and elevate the value of humanism as the core of healthcare. It provides a powerful emphasis on compassion in combination with scientific excellence. Dr. Gold was concerned that physicians were becoming more enamored with the technological aspects of medicine rather than listening to and caring for patients. The most important element of the ceremony is the oath that students take in front of family members, school leadership, and their peers to acknowledge their central obligation of caring for the patient. In 1995, the Gold Foundation expanded their sponsorship of the White Coat Ceremony to 7 medical schools, including SUNY Downstate's College of Medicine, and we have held this ceremony ever since. The Gold Foundation reports that the White Coat Ceremony takes place at over 99% of schools of medicine in the United States and Canada, as well as osteopathic schools of medicine, and at schools in over 19 other countries. We're also proud that at Downstate, we helped begin a new tradition by expanding the White Coat Ceremony to our College of Nursing, as well as to our physician assistant and physical therapy programs. We are grateful and honored to have been one of the earliest institutions to partner with the Gold Foundation on White Coat ceremonies. And as an example of our dedication to the mission of keeping healthcare human, our own president, Dr. Wayne J. Riley, is actually a trustee of the Gold Foundation. This White Coat Ceremony for our class of 2024 is extra special for 2 additional reasons. First, this ceremony, had it been held as scheduled in the fall of 2020, would have been our 25th annual ceremony, a commitment to the importance of humanism in the training of students in the art and science of medicine at Downstate. Second, this class began their medical career in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Under the leadership of President Riley and our Dean of the College of Medicine, Dr. Charles Brunicardi, SUNY Downstate made a commitment to providing medical education during the pandemic in an in-person methodology. Unfortunately, though, while members of the class of 2024 were given an oath during a virtual orientation, it was impossible to hold this white coat ceremony then. Thus, it is my distinct honor to formally welcome you to the 25th Annual White Coat Ceremony, celebrating the class of 2024. And we're holding this ceremony at a special time as this class transitions from the foundation of medicine into the core of our clinical program, their clinical clerkships. And in a Downstate tradition, together at the end of the ceremony, we will renew our oath to each other as teachers and learners and to the humanism of medicine. It is now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dr. F. Charles Brunicardi, the Senior Vice President and Dean of the College of Medicine.
Thank you, Dean Putman. Good afternoon and welcome members of the class of 2024, your families, significant others, friends, as well as the Downstate administration, faculty, and staff to our 25th Annual White Coat Ceremony. In 2020, you entered the College of Medicine at a time of great change during a worldwide medical pandemic, and the future of healthcare in our nation is still the subject of much debate. As you move forward towards your clinical program, you can continue to look forward to an era of extraordinary and exciting medical discoveries and technological advances. There have been more scientific and technological advances in the past 50 years than in the entire history of our humanity. These advances will greatly enhance your ability to alleviate human suffering, but at the same time, you can expect to encounter a host of new medical and ethical dilemmas, as we all have seen with the pandemic. Our faculty and I have and will continue to do our very best to prepare you to meet those challenges. We have a long tradition at Downstate of training physicians who are skilled not only in treating the diseases of the body, but also the humanity of the person. And for this reason, we celebrated the start of your medical education and career in 2020 by giving each one of you a white coat, one of the symbols of a physician's compassionate care. And today, we will renew that oath by representing you that coat formally in front of your family and loved ones. It is a profound truism that the best care is caring about the patient. So this year, we're honored that our white coat speaker is Dr. Diane Reedy, a member of the SUNY Downstate College of Medicine class of 2001. Dr. Reedy is now the Associate Deputy Physician of the Regional Care Network at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City, as well as president of their medical staff. She is also physician liaison for the Patient and Family Advisory Council on Quality of Care. During the COVID crisis in New York, she served as Chief of Clinical Care in the COVID setting at Memorial Sloan Kettering and is part of the Hospital Incident Command System. She is also creator and host of the podcast Cancer Straight Talk at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, and also serves as an associate professor of clinical medicine for Weill Cornell Medical College. Wow. Dr. Reedy earned her Bachelor of Science from Cornell University, her Master's of Science from Tufts University, and her Doctor of Medicine from SUNY Downstate's College of Medicine in 2001. She completed her internship and residency in internal medicine, including being chief resident at Mount Sinai Hospital. Dr. Reedy completed her fellowship in medical oncology, including serving as chief fellow at the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. She is board certified in both internal medicine as well as medical oncology. As a noted clinical investigator, Dr. Reedy served previously as Associate Deputy Physician-in-Chief for Clinical Operations, the Clinical Director of the GI Oncology Service, and Co-Director for the Medical Oncology Hematology Fellowship program at Memorial Sloan Kettering. As a researcher, she focuses on developing methods to integrate molecular-based therapies into the treatment of neuroendocrine and endocrine tumors. She's a member of the National Cancer Institute Task Force and a member of the National Cancer Care Network Guidelines. Dr. Reedy is the recipient of several honors and awards, most notably the Paul Sherlock Resident House Staff Teaching Award, Castle Connolly Top Doctors, and the American Cancer Society Mother of the Year Award. So on all of this, Dr. Reedy is the mother of 2 children. Then Dr. Reedy maintains a high-volume GI oncology clinic. So we congratulate you, Dr. Reedy, on all your outstanding accomplishments, both in your work life and your personal life, and believe that your stellar career and words of advice will inspire our audience, especially the class of 2024. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Diane Reedy as our white coat speaker.
Thank you so very much. The last time I was here was 20 years ago in this auditorium, and it's a wave of emotions. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here today. So Dean Brunacardi, Dean Cristoforo, Dr. Putman, Dr. Lazar, distinguished faculty, guests, and most especially class of 2024, thank you for granting me this enormous opportunity and honor on this very momentous day. The white coat ceremony. I just met you all and I'm already proud of you all. It's truly a day that I remember from 20 years ago. So what kind of doc will you be? Our health, it is bar none the most important aspect in life. It is the very essence of our existence, and you will be the guardian for so many who are sick and need you. That is an honor that you will carry, but it is an enormous responsibility. So here's a hint. Lean in. Your intelligence and diligence must be coupled with compassion and kindness and empathy. All the knowledge in the world will not replace a warm hug, a shared cry for the good or the bad, an end-of-the-day phone call to a patient, or a few extra minutes of talking in the hospital room to a patient or caregiver. Just your presence can and will heal them. Here's another reality, and this is one that in medicine we don't talk about often, but I really felt I needed to share. There's going to be some moments that are harder than others. It doesn't happen often, but the so-called difficult patient or caregiver will suddenly lash out at you. Remember, they are terrified, and sometimes they react inappropriately. But they're in uncharted waters, and you will be caught in the lion's den. But my team and I have a mantra. We didn't cause the illness, so we try, with empathy, to be patient. Having said that, there needs to be a level of decorum. There might be a moment when things get out of hand, and that's when I ask, please consult your colleagues and superiors. Again, we don't talk about that challenge in medicine, but we must balance being patient and empathetic with advocating also for ourselves and our team. I am Downstate made, and I will tell you firsthand that coming to Downstate and training here was the single most important decision I've made in my career. I could tell you that I learned more in this great hospital, and particularly the hospital across the street, than in any other thing I've done in the last 20 years of my service. I could put in an IV and do an ABG probably with my eyes closed, thanks to my surgical rotation at the county. So I encourage you, please do clerkships across the street. It is an absolutely extraordinary place to learn. More importantly, though, I learned to think independently and do all the things independently that I promise you, when residents and medical schools from Downstate come rotate through my hospital, I know exactly who they are. My journey, however, was probably like a lot of in your room, not the shortest distance between 2 points. So today, I wanted to share with you 3 stories that shaped who I am, who I'd like to be, and I hope might help you as well. The first story is about fate. The year was 1997, 25 years ago, almost to the day, and I was here in this room, and behind me was my beaming mom and my adored grandparents. And this is a funny story, I promise it's true. I will tell you that I'm also a proud product of the SUNY system. I went to SUNY Geneseo before transferring to the State University College of Human Ecology at Cornell, and then again graduated from this institution 21 years ago. But when I first graduated from Cornell in 1995, I got one medical school interview and one wait list. And so on the day of my college graduation, my grandfather, who sat in the same seats here 7 years later, gave me 2 letters. The first letter, it turns out, was a letter that was addressed to that one medical school that I was waitlisted at. It was to the director of admissions, and it was written by my grandpa, who proceeded to tell the director of admissions that he should let in his granddaughter, who was wonderful. Did it work? No, it didn't work. But the best was the second letter from the director of admissions to my grandpa, telling him how wonderful it was and that in 30 years he had never received a letter from a grandpa. Nevertheless, again, it did not work. So there I was, and I went up to Boston, worked in a lab, was able to get a master's during that time, and reapplied. 9 college medical schools, 9 wait lists, no rejections, but no acceptances. And I was devastated and really drained at that point. But as luck would have it, I had an opportunity to get a work visa in Madrid, Spain. And so I took it. Well, it turns out that I thought I spoke Spanish from my college and high school days, but didn't at all. So there I was in Madrid, Spain, looking for a job. And again, as luck would have it, I ended up working as a substitute teacher in the English Montessori school when the science teacher decided that he didn't want to be there anymore. So, eureka, I had an opportunity to do what I knew, and a skill I did, had to be a middle school teacher in this school. So, fast forward, and there I was, reapplying for the 3rd time with 1 year in Spain, and I've got 9 schools, all of which accepted me, and I started back at Downstate. So, eureka. The reality, though, is those rejections actually, although on the surface didn't have practical applications, actually made me the person I am today. Had I not had that middle school job, perhaps I wouldn't have been able to be chief resident. And believe me, there are many parallels between middle school and being a chief resident, or chief fellow, or actually being able to run the fellowship program at Memorial for many years. Perhaps if I didn't have a year of learning Spanish, I would not have a Mexican husband and bilingual children and many Spanish-speaking patients that I care for in New York City. And the podcast you heard about is actually in English and Spanish. So I would say, trust that gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever it is we call it, combined with hard work and hard knocks, connects, and to follow your heart where it leads you off the well-worn path. And beware of family members trying to do what they think is right. The second story is about how science, and the right science, translates into saving lives. Just look what science has done for us and our society during the COVID crisis. The COVID vaccine is the biggest, most important health measure in the last century. I'm a clinical researcher, and I run clinical trials, and herein is the story to illustrate the power of science. Drew was a patient of mine who was a 21-year-old extraordinary senior in college. Drew was 4 months shy of his graduation when he was diagnosed with a terrible cancer of the adrenal gland known as adrenocortical carcinoma. I first met Drew when I was giving him treatment and chemotherapy in hopes to increase his cure rate. But at his second follow-up visit, there on my screen were his CT images. The disease was everywhere, and the cancer had returned. I sat in my office with the door closed, numb, thinking I must get up and go into that room. And as I entered that room, my eyes and my facial expressions told the whole story, and everyone in the room understood. We lost Drew on Valentine's Day, 6 months later and 4 months shy of his graduation. Determined to use that moment, his family and friends started the Drew O'Donoghue Fund to raise money for research for adrenal cancers. I was determined to use my science weapon to not have another story end like Drew. Based on the funds, in part by the Drew O'Donoghue Foundation, we uncovered with our lab colleagues that an immunotherapy might in fact work for Drew's type of cancer. Fast forward 2 years later, and we enrolled our first patient into that immunotherapy trial at MSK. Patient 2 was a woman named Grace, 21-year-old, also college senior. Grace had stage 4 adrenal cancer with metastases to the lung and lymph nodes. Except Grace had a complete response to that therapy. Three and a half years later, she has no evidence of disease, and that cancer treatment is now on the Cancer Care Network guidelines. That is the power of science. The last story is about death. All of you will have to face it, some more than others. And newsflash, we all eventually will experience it. Again, please lean in and be there for our patients as they move on to the other side, or as my team and I used to call it, going to the room next door. About 9 months ago, I lost one of my dearest and beloved patients. Teresa Miller was a graduate of Duke and Harvard Law School. Teresa was also Chief Diversity Officer for all of SUNY and Vice Chancellor of Strategic Affairs at SUNY. She was a SUNY leader and SUNY strong, and we loved to talk about SUNY, and we talked a lot. When I got this invitation, I could not help but think that there may be an angel inviting me to have and be part of this ceremony. A few months before Terry's passing, she spoke at the 2021 SUNY commemoration of Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. She put King's efforts in the context of her own life, a young girl and child growing up in the South as a Black officer's child. She said she lived under the microscope, and it was challenging, but she was completely committed to using her time as an opportunity to help others. And boy, did she do that. She used that time wisely, with inspiration, vision, and clarity. Terry concluded by quoting Dr. King, "But the end is reconciliation. It is this love which will bring about miracles in the hearts of men." I miss her dearly, and today I dedicate this speech to her and all she represented. So class of 2024, I will end with my top 10 before you enter your clerkships, and I hope that you will take it with you and think about it thereafter in your medical career. Number 1, be respectful of everyone on the wards and in clinics, the unit clerks, the environmental engineers, the APPs, the RNs, the RDs, the PTs, the docs. Number 2, there should be a special respect for the nurses. They are your biggest allies, and they will teach you a lot. Be sure to ask questions. Number 3, be kind and humble, and don't forget to say thank you. Number 4, always feed your medical student and intern when you're on a residence. You should never skip lunch or dinner. Number 5, as an attending, show up. Give your cell phone to any housed officer and be available if anything is needed, and there are certainly no silly questions. Number 6, medicine brings connections and appreciation. Connect and appreciate. Number 7, rely on your colleagues. We elevate each other because we know what pain and suffering is. Number 8, remember that every moment is a gift because it's an opportunity, so use it. Number 9, try to attend the funerals, weddings, or special events when you're invited of those patients that made an impression on you. I promise you won't forget it. And number 10, you are Downstate made, Downstate strong, and part of the Downstate family. Never forget that. And if you ever want to be a cancer doc, you have a friend at MSK. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Reedy. And knowing Terry, I know she'd be proud of all that you've accomplished. And now, I'm delighted to formally present to you the class of 2024. Will the following faculty members please come forward and take your places? Sophie Cristoforo, Associate Dean for Student and Curricular Affairs, will read the names of the members of the class of 2024. Dr. Ricardo Bianchi, Associate Dean for Foundations of Medicine, Dr. Temitope Jose, Director of the Pediatrics Clerkship, will assist with directing students to the stage to receive their white coats. Dr. Robin Ovich, Associate Dean for Clinical Competencies, will be giving each of you a little gift, a Maxwell quick reference guide for you to put into your white coat as you move on to your clinical clerkships. And Dr. Brian McNeil, Associate Dean of Clinical Affairs, and Dr. Antonia Quinn, Associate Director of Clinical Skills, will assist the members of the class with their white coats. Once you come up to the stage to receive your white coat, we also will ask that you move to the back of the auditorium, where you will go outside, take a quick formal picture with your white coat, and then come back in, and there will be staff members to direct you on that path. Don't worry, you won't miss any of the ceremony, I promise. Dean Cristoforo.
We ask you to leave your mask on when you get coated, but when you get your formal picture outside, you'll be able to take it off with your white coat. When I call your name, come forward to receive your white coat. Sabrina Abraham. Nicole Ackerman. Supreet Alawalia. Christopher Alessandro. Bradley Amazon. Brandon Badillo. Gregory Belizaire. Rivka Benyaminov. Daniel Gannon Burton. Caroline Canning. Crystal Choi. Amanda Chardello. Or Dayan. Rachel Corona. Javier De Jesus. Sophie Eldred. Alexander Fang. Paul Freed. Samuel Gildalovich. Leah Goldberg. Scott Goldberg. Luis Gonzalez Miranda. Ariana Gopal. Jennifer Gottfried. Natasha Goyal. Judah Gray. Brandon Grill. Kelsey Hackett. Lawrence Hansen. Nicholas Hines. Joshua Hirsch. Kenny Hung. Shirley Huang. Vivian Huang. Yael Ihajorkia. Andrigue Jean-Louis. Agnes Chiang. Amanda Jurgal. Christy Joseph. Leon Kamen. Isabel Kaplan. Samuel Kim. Yoonji Kim. Jesse Landis. Raven Lynn. Christopher Madden. Matthew Morcilio. Okay, Sasha Machado. Kevin Moran. Kurt Moskowitz. Okay. Madonna Moza. Callum Mulvaney. Alexandra Naranzinis. Vivian Nguyen. Lekha Patel. Rachel Patrick. Jenny Paulson. Emily Pasek. William Post. Michael Ritchie. Alexis Roth. Blaine Russ. Hector Sandoval. Vivek Shah. Anuradha Shetty. Benjamin Simkayev. Jessica Sirizade. Daniel Walacha. Ruyu Wang. Jeremy Wasserberg. Lulu Way. Pierce Whitaker. Jeremy Wilson. Matthew Wilson. Caddy Wu. Hua Yep. Samuel Yim. Hall Zhang. Sylvia Zielinski. Lori Zombak. Hillel Ziegler. Teresa Maskey. Jaristi Amarnani. Dr. Putman?
Once again, the class of 2024. Before we move to administering the oath, our class medical council has created a slideshow of images of their class over the past 2 years, which I would like to present now.
Chasing and tonight is my appraisal. Cause I'm a hooker selling songs and my pimp's a record label. This world is full of demon stocks and bonds and Bible traders. So I do the deed, get up and leave a climber and a sadist, yeah. Are you ready for the sequel? Ain't ready for the latest? In the garden of evil, I'm gonna be the greatest. In a golden cathedral, I'll be praying for the faithless. And if you lose, boo-hoo. Hey, look, ma, I made it. Hey, look, ma, I made it. Everything's coming up pieces, pieces. If it's a dream, don't wake me, don't wake me. I said, hey, look, ma, I made it. Friends are happy for me, or they're honeysuckle phonies. And they celebrate my medals, or they wanna take my trophies. Some are loyal soldiers, while these other thorns are rosy. And if you never know who you can trust, then trust me, you'll be lonely. Oh, are you ready for the sequel? Ain't ready for the latest? In the garden of evil, I'm gonna be the greatest. In a golden cathedral, I'll be praying for the faithless. And if you lose, boo-hoo. Hey, look, ma, I made it. Hey, look, ma, I made it. Everything's coming up pieces, pieces. If it's a
thank you to the Medical School Council for putting that together. Thank you, Amanda. And now, for only the second time in the history of SUNY Downstate Health Sciences University, we are honored to present the oath for teachers and learners at SUNY Downstate Health Sciences University, which is located at the back of your program. It is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Jason Lazar, the Vice Dean for Education, to administer the oath.
Congratulations, class of 2024. As part of your education, your faculty have discussed with you the social contract for those in the medical profession with their patients and with society. And in just 2 years, before you know it, when you graduate from our institution, SUNY Downstate, and you will be granted your MD degree, you will recite the Hippocratic Oath. The Hippocratic Oath is a time-honored reflection of the professional values and behaviors that physicians commit to as part of that social contract. Today, we ask our students to join with our faculty in reciting an oath meant to be an explicit commitment to the ideals that we promise to uphold as part of that social contract and to each other as members of this community. While professionalism requires more than a vow of good intentions, these vows define what the responsibilities and obligations are as future members of the medical profession and as SUNY Downstate medical graduates. Would the members of our faculty present today please stand and be recognized? Will the members of the class of 2024 please stand and be congratulated? I ask that both faculty and students read the oath printed on the back of your program, following the prompts on the page. So when it says students, the students will read along with me. And when it says faculty, I ask my dear colleagues to read along with me. Let's turn to the back of our program. Everyone together. We pledge to serve our patients, their families, our community, and each other with respect, integrity, competence, compassion, humility, and humanity. We hold as our ideal the care and treatment of all of our patients. From them we will learn. We hold as our ideal the advancement of knowledge. Through it, disease will be understood, prevented, and cured. We hold as our ideal open-minded collaboration. To this, we are collectively committed. We hold as our ideal critical self-evaluation. Through this, we will grow. Faculty, we, your faculty, promise to serve as worthy role models as our own teachers have before us. Students, we, your students, recognize the expertise and commitment of those from whom we learn. We promise to support your personal and professional growth in the clinic, in the laboratory, in the community, and in your own teaching. Students, we promise to pursue responsibly in our calling, patient care, to service, and to research. Faculty, we promise to maintain an environment where scientific integrity and ethical standards sustain your trust in us. And students, and everyone. We honor and embrace the SUNY Downstate Health Sciences University College of Medicine history of and commitment to service to the people of the borough of Brooklyn, the city of New York, our nation, and the global community. We support its rich tradition of teaching and research excellence. We accept the challenges and opportunities of those alumni whom we follow. We humbly commit to serve humanity, caring for the sick, promoting good health, and alleviating pain and suffering. We will not permit considerations of race, religion, political affiliation, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, nationality, or social standing to influence our duty of care. We solemnly pledge our commitment to this oath and our assistance to others who pledge the same. Congratulations, class of 2024.
You can be seated. Sorry. This concludes our 25th annual White Coat Ceremony celebrating the class of 2024. For the last time today, or at least for now, may I please have a round of applause again for the class of 2024. Will the members of the audience please remain in their seats while the class of 2024 exits first, followed by the audience? Thank you for attending.